Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this, my first review in the Assassin's Creed franchise. Now, before I start, a lot of you are probably wondering, well, why are you reviewing all of the Assassin's Creed when they've been out for so long? Well, the reason is because I have bittersweet memories when it comes to the Assassin's Creed franchise. I played the first two games and really enjoyed them, but when it got to Brotherhood, there were a few little things that brought the experience down for me. And don't make the mistake of thinking that Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is a bad game, because I don't think it is. It's just me personally, as who I am as a gamer, just found a few things that were a little bit annoying. But despite that, what with the hype surrounding Assassin's Creed 3 coming out, I was actually thinking of going back and playing the franchise again. But before I did that, I wanted to I went onto the wiki of Assassin's Creed to see just where the characters were at the time. And I found something that pissed me the hell off, and filled me with such unbridled rage that it was more than what I felt for the Mass Effect 3 ending. Now, you're probably wondering, well, if it pisses you off that much, then why are you going through the bother of reviewing the entire Assassin's Creed franchise, and why aren't I seeing more rage on your face? Well, the answer is simply this. I'm going to tear into this issue into an entirely separate video at the end. And it will probably be my fourth video, I suspect. And I will tear into it with such force that I will completely destroy it. But before I did that, I wanted to go about how I felt of the franchise as a whole, and just what the experiences were that I had with it. And, there will be spoilers in this, obviously, and, well, if there are some of you who haven't played Assassin's Creed yet and are thinking about getting it, I hope that this does help you. And for newer fans, and for older fans, sorry, I hope you agree with what I say. Okay, so, here we are. Assassin's Creed 1, filled with blood, death, acid trips. Wait, what? Acid trips, I hear you say? What are you talking about? Well, that is basically how the game starts. You playing as your guy, and you start off with this sort of blue fuzziness. They're surrounded by strange women with parts with a voiceover of someone talking existential bullcrap. Yeah, same business as ever then. Actually, no, what actually happened is the guy you're playing as, Desmond Miles, has been kidnapped by modern-day Templars, who want to access his memories through a device called the Animus in order to locate what is called a Piece of Eden, or in this case, the Apple of Eden, to be more specific. But they're having trouble accessing the memory they want, so the only solution is to go back to an earlier memory and go on from there. Interesting story. Now let's talk about characters briefly. Desmond Miles, great everyman, voiced very well by Nolan North, I think it is. He's the kind of guy that you can imagine having a drink with. He's a normal guy who just happens to have been born to the wrong family. Poor guy, gotta pity him. We have Vidic, who is basically the face of the Templars in the modern age, at least as far as Desmond's concerned, who is kinda messed up, if we're honest. I mean, the thing about this game is it's the old argument of how much control should people have over the majority's free will. And, there are dozens of things that have gone over this, Star Wars, Dragon Age, many franchises have covered this debate for various reasons. Because, let's face it, this debate is going to rage throughout history, and it is never, ever going to stop, and will always be there in some form. But see, what he wants is good, because he wants to rule the world, but in such a way that basically brainwashes everyone into their way of thinking. But by doing so will, bring peace and prosperity to humanity and blah 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 blah. You get the general idea. Yeah. Then you have Lucy Stillman, who is a great character, great love interest to the franchise, who is really Desmond's friend and is really a likable character. Yeah, well, guys, you'd better enjoy her while you can, because the writers fuck her over in the third and fourth games main games of the franchise. Yeah, that's only half of the issue I'm talking about. There's actually another part to it. And like I said, I'll get to that later. Oh, will I ever get to that later? So, but that's later. Like I said, later. For now, we're getting back in the Animus and replaying our ancestors' memories. And we're introduced to our hero, the brave, noble Altair, who is introduced by killing a defenseless old man. Our protagonist, ladies and gentlemen! So, yes, as you can probably tell, he's a badass, but he's also an asshole, as is quite often the case. Yes, and basically what our hero is doing is he's been sent by his master Al-Mualim, who is leader of the assassins, to retrieve an artifact from the Templars. Of course, Altair hasn't actually asked what this artifact is, he's just sort of doing it. And this is actually a main theme throughout the game. So it's important that you understand that he isn't asking too many questions yet. And with him on this task is Malik and also generic red shirt assassin. No, I'm kidding. No assassin wears red shirt, but basically he's purely there to die. And Malik says, what are you doing killing an innocent? And Altair responds basically with, fuck you, I'm in charge, I can do what I want, go fuck yourself. So, going on, they find the Ark of the Covenant, and the leader of the Templars, Robert de Sable, who is actually basically the big enemy of the assassins, and Altair is like, sweet, let's fucking kill the bastard. To which Malik responds by saying, no, if he was here, we were only supposed to engage him if necessary. For all the problems that Altair has, he actually makes a very good counter-argument to that, which I am with him on, in that he actually says, he stands between us and it. I'd say it's necessary. And yeah, I'm not gonna disagree there. If he's between you and your objective, you probably are gonna have to fight him. So, being an assassin, Altair gets out his incredible stealth techniques and completely exposes himself to the enemy. He just kind of walks up to them. Okay, I get it, you're trying to prove to everyone that you're a badass and better than everyone else, but if you're an assassin, surely the best way to do that is with stealth, with, those throwing knives you have, or that big badass sword you have, during combat if you really need to. But, no, how does he do it? He tries to kill him with this dinky little knife that he has in his wrist, against a seasoned veteran warrior, who, in all likelihood, has survived countless assassination attempts prior to this, and he just kind of tries to stab his skull with it. And that goes about as well as you might expect, with Altair being chucked through a wall, generic assassin being captured, and later on killed, and also Malik loses his arm. Though he does manage to get the apple, which is pretty hardcore of him. So Altair goes back to the Fortress of the Assassins, where it's revealed that everyone either thinks he's awesome or he's a dick, or both, something. And he basically says, yeah, I fucked up. Needless to say, Al-Mualim is pissed, especially when Malik returns alive with the apple and explains exactly why things went to hell. So after the Templars attempt to attack the fortress and get the apple back, which fails miserably, Al-Mualim basically makes a show of killing Altair, but doesn't really, and he sort of comes back to life. I don't know, it's never properly explained, really. It's probably something to do with the apple. But, basically he gets stabbed, he feels the pain, and he does a Jesus thing and comes back to life. So, once that's done, Al-Mualim basically tells him, alright, now, I should kill you, because you've gone against everything the assassins are, you've clearly not got inner peace, as we're supposed to have. But you know what? I'm gonna give you a chance to redeem yourself, 'cause I'm a nice guy, and you have good talents, and it would be a waste to you know, kill you off. No, I'm gonna give you another chance. Yeah, the possibility of him being the main villain of the story has just gone up by 20%, roughly. You know, I'm just putting it out there. So, then we get into the main game. And basically he goes along killing 10 men, including Robert de Sable, eventually, and throughout it he sort of, as he kills his targets, he talks to them, and they have such conviction that what they're doing is right, that he starts to question his own place in the world, you know. Is what he's doing right, and why is he doing it? And this is the point, because at the beginning of the story, he never asked any questions. He just got on with the job. Oh, but now he's beginning to wonder about these things. Although, I must say, I do scratch my head a little bit, as considering he's probably killed Templars before, as to why he didn't listen to them talking then. Whatever. It's an interesting point to note that it's kind of a parallel between Desmond and Altair, because it's actually revealed later on when you're playing in the sections in the future, present, which actually aren't there that much, that Desmond actually ran away from his family because they wanted him to accept things without question, or pretty much that anyway. I mean, they told him that they were waiting for attack from his enemies, and Desmond just thought they were conspiracy and just ran off, basically. And that's interesting, because basically it means that even from a younger age, unlike Altair, Desmond questioned, which is, you know, very interesting. It means he's had a normal life. And this is going to be more important in a later video. Basically, Altair goes and kills everyone, and Big Shark, Al-Mualim's the real villain. There's a big surprise. Didn't see that coming a million miles away. But, you know, whatever. So they have a fight, and with a lot of existential bullcrap debate happening, like I said, because this is basically the memory that they were trying to get to. And basically it ends, Al-Mualim's dead, Altair taking the apple, and Desmond in the future able to start seeing ghost things. Basically thanks to the bleeding effect of the animus, which basically causes the ability to come through into the actual descendant. Okay, so that's basically the story. Overall, interesting idea. I was really interested to see where they were going to go with it, because I'm somewhat different from most gamers, I think, in that for me, story usually takes priority over actual gameplay. For me, as long as the gameplay is playable, and I can have fun with it, then it's the story that I'm most interested in. And they really made me interested to see what would happen here. Yeah. Although this was a fairly early title for PlayStation, so they probably didn't know exactly where they were going to go with it at first. They probably kicked ideas around, but yeah. And bear that in mind, people, because this is going to come back in a later video. Okay. Okay, so now that we've talked about the story and some of the characters, let's talk about the actual gameplay. Very inventive, very different. You've got the sort of free-flowing, free-running aspect in which you can, jump between buildings and do sort of defying jumps into balls of hay, and do it every time, I might point out. But I should point out that even if you did that in real life, that would not actually work. You would still break a few bones if you tried that, especially if you're jumping from basically the tallest building in Jerusalem. That's basically what you're doing. Oh yeah, that's basically something I should have mentioned before. It's set in during the Crusades in the Holy Land. It's important to mention that. So yeah, the combat is very good. It's very fast-paced. Very take your sword out, whack, whack, whack. Although a few more attack types maybe would have been a bit more interesting. And And the thing of it, you have also get other upgrades, but I never really used them. The only thing I ever really used was the sword and the hidden blade. I never used the daggers or the knife, which you get later on. But I just never saw much reason to use them, really. No. Maybe other people had it differently. I don't know. No, other people probably did use them, but I didn't. And also, another criticism I have is you're meant to be an assassin, but actually stealth killing your targets, the overall target of the memory segment, stealth killing them is actually pretty difficult. Now, I understand that they're basically kind of like end-level bosses. That's basically the role they fill. But if I'm an assassin, then I feel like I should be able to, for at least a few of them, stealth kill them. And there are a few segments where it actually teases you with that possibility. I'm thinking mainly about a hospital where you have to kill a doctor, and a fortress where you have to kill basically a general. In the hospital, there's everyone around, and you can blend into the environment. That's another thing that's very useful. You can actually, if you're being pursued by followers, you can blend into the environment to escape your captors, which is very clever, very well done. Although I do have a bit of a criticism, which I will get into very shortly. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, that's right, the stealth aspect. And so you sort of going around, and you sort of expect to be able to try and kill them stealthily. And later on, when you're in the fortress trying to kill this guy, there's sort of platforms that you can jump down stealthily, and no one will notice you're doing it. And it almost looks like you can sort of jump, kill him with the hidden blade. And you can, actually, because I've done it. I have done it. It wasn't easy, but I have managed to do it. But the point is, it shouldn't be difficult. It should be relatively easy to do. Because you're an assassin. You're meant to be stealthy. That's the whole point of the thing. Also, the blending thing. The blending thing, okay, as a gameplay element, it works well. But for it to work, the guards have to be the dumbest fucking guards that exist throughout history. And it's no wonder the Crusades went on for so long as they did, if the people had this level of intelligence. Like, seriously. Because basically, what you do is you basically blend in with scholars, and do the whole Om, you will let us in, Om. Hey, wait a minute, you're a scholar, why are you got heavily armed with armor, swords, knives? Now, you're not that assassin, are you? Me? No, I'm not an assassin, this is just purely for protection. Oh, okay, go on in then. What? He's clearly an assassin, and usually the group you're in the middle of a group of 5. You're the 5th guy who is sort of like in the middle. But regardless of that, the guards can still see the fact that he's got a big ass knife like the crocodile hunter on his fucking back. Why are they not calling him out on this? It's bullcrap. Oh dear. So as I say, it's a little bit odd, but you can't help but laugh at it, and it's a good gameplay element, so you forgive it. Basically, you do forgive it. Another criticism I have is on the PC version that they brought out later. There were a few extra side missions to do with archery. I don't have anything against them bringing that out in the PC version, but they could have made it downloadable content for the actual main game on the console versions. Because basically it feels like you're playing an incomplete game. I mean, it's not like it's anything desperate, but people like me, I like to play every single thing on a game when I get it. So yeah, so that's a bit of a shame. Later on, quickly just going back to the stories, it's actually later revealed that Lucy is a double agent working for the Assassins, which is really interesting. And it's very good. But like I said, later on they are going to completely fuck this thing up, and completely pointlessly, I might add. And when we get to that, I'll talk about it. But for now, I'm not going to talk any more about it. Now, is there anything else about Assassin's Creed that one that I can talk about? See, I've talked about the characters. I've talked briefly about the plot and how it all fits together very well, I might point out. Talked about the combat. Talked about some of the flaws. Oh yeah, there is something. Now that I remember it, you've got side missions which don't really add anything to the overall plot. Well, no, that's not entirely true. When I'm talking about side missions here, I'm talking about the side missions that involve rescuing civilians. You know, those don't really add something beyond making a few hiding spaces to help you escape. But there are actual side missions that before you can get to your target, you have to do a certain number of information gathering in order to get it, and those are very good. Those are quite a lot of fun. Although there are still, even when Altair is becoming a better man and actually is a much wiser, overall, kind of more rounded human being, he still sometimes kills defenseless people in these information gathering missions, which I'm gonna call bullcrap on. I'm sorry, but I kind of do. You don't do that. I mean, I realize it's a different time and everything, but, still. We also have, flag gathering missions. Oh my. Do we ever have flag gathering missions? Yeah, in each city there's a certain number of, flags that you can collect. But so far as I can tell, they don't actually do anything. It's not like they give you any weapons or anything like that. And usually by the end of the game, you have a full health bar anyway, or fully synced, as they like to call it. I'm sorry, but if you're gonna include something which has over 100 flags to collect, you better give me an incentive to actually collect them, which they actually do in the next game in the series, which I will talk about. So yeah, that flag gathering sucks. So I best give you an overall verdict, I suppose. Like I said, good story and starting game for a franchise, so it doesn't necessarily need to be absolutely brilliant. It just needs to be good, and you can see that there's a lot of potential in the series, which they did. It could get repetitive at times. Stealth kills were too difficult. But yeah, overall good story, good characters, overall good gameplay. So overall, I'm going to give this game a 7.5 out of 10. I'm going to go with the mainstream reviewers like at IGN. And I do agree that this is a good starting point for a series, and there's good mileage to improve on that. And they do. Oh my gosh, do they ever. Which I'll talk about in the Assassin's Creed 2 video review. So until then, I'll see you next time.